You work 40 hours a week. You analyze every receipt. You watch every dollar. Where is the wealth? Let's talk about the silent tax you didn't know you were paying. Every single day, you make a series of micro choices designed to save a few dollars. You drive 5 miles out of your way to find cheaper gas. You spend 2 hours reading reviews to save $20 on a household appliance. You clean your own gutters, cook every meal from scratch, and manage your own booking schedules. You call this responsibility. You call this discipline. In the world of elite wealth, this isn't discipline. It is a form of self-sabotage so quiet and insidious that you actually feel proud while doing it. You are suffering from a cognitive glitch known as the small number bias. While you are hyper-focused on plugging tiny leaks in your financial bucket, you are completely ignoring the fact that the entire pipe is dry. The elite operate on a completely different currency. They do not calculate costs in dollars. They calculate them in decision bandwidth and opportunity yield. They understand that your mind is a high-performance engine with a strictly limited fuel tank. Every tiny choice you make drains that tank. By the time you sit down to build your actual legacy, you are running on fumes. You have traded your genius for $20 of savings. This is the opportunity cost mistake, and it is keeping you permanently poor. Let us look closely at the math of survival versus the math of scale. The average person treats their financial life like a defense game. They believe that wealth is accumulated by minimizing expenditure. They spend their weekends comparing phone plans and looking for coupon codes. They look at a successful person who pays a premium for convenience, and they think that person is arrogant or lazy. They see someone hiring a personal assistant or using a premium grocery delivery service, and they laugh. They think to themselves, I could easily do that myself and save $20. This is the fundamental error of the middle-class mind. They calculate their value based on their current salary, rather than their ultimate potential. If you earn $30 an hour, you think spending an hour to save $40 is a net win. But if your goal is to build an empire that generates $1,000 an hour, then spending your time on a $30 task is an absolute tragedy. You are literally paying $970 for the privilege of staying exactly where you are. You are subsidizing your own stagnation. The elite do not hire help because they are lazy. They hire help because they understand that their executive function is their most valuable asset. They protect their focus with a level of ferocity that borders on the fanatical. To understand the true cost of your frugality, we must look at the human brain as a biological battery. Every single decision you make from the moment you wake up drains a specific amount of cognitive power. This is not a metaphor. It is basic neuroscience. It is known as decision fatigue. Your brain does not separate a high-stakes business choice from a low-stakes consumer choice. It uses the exact same resource to decide which brand of toothpaste is cheaper, as it does to decide whether to launch a new business. When you start your morning by analyzing a menu to save $2 or sorting through emails to unsubscribe from newsletters, you are draining your battery. By noon, your executive center is depleted. You sit down to write your business plan, to design your product, or to negotiate a high-value contract, but your brain is exhausted. You lack the clarity to spot opportunities. You lack the resolve to take calculated risks. You settle for comfort. You watch television or scroll social media because your brain literally does not have the power to do anything else. You think you lack discipline, but the truth is you spent your daily discipline on trivialities before your workday even began. Let us analyze a real-world scenario. Imagine two individuals. Let us call the first one the saver and the second one the builder. The saver wants to buy a new laptop. He spends 3 days scouring forums, comparing specifications, and waiting for a holiday discount. He successfully saves $150. He feels a rush of victory. He believes he is a master of personal finance. Now look at the builder. The builder needs the same laptop. He spends 5 minutes buying the standard model recommended by industry professionals. He pays full price. But during those 3 days that the saver spent researching, the builder used his clear, unburdened mind to write a sales page that generated $5,000 in revenue. The saver didn't save $150. He lost $4,850 in potential earnings. He traded his most precious asset, his cognitive clarity, for a discount that has absolutely zero impact on his long-term net worth. This is the tragic illusion of precision. It is the obsession with micro measurements at the expense of macro results. You are using a supercomputer to calculate the change in your pocket. The transition from poverty to true wealth is not a change in the numbers on your screen. It is an identity shift. It is the transition from being a manager of pennies to becoming an architect of systems. A manager of pennies looks at a $500 software subscription and sees a massive expense. They immediately try to find a free, open-source alternative. They spend 40 hours configuring a clunky, unstable system to avoid paying the subscription fee. They feel proud because they spent $0. The architect of systems looks at that same $500 and asks a different question. He asks, how many hours of my life does this subscription buy back? If the software saves him 10 hours a month, and those 10 hours are channeled into deep, creative leverage, the return on investment is functionally infinite. The architect is not buying a tool. He is buying back his life. He is buying back the mental space required to think. If you want to escape the trap of being busy but broke, you must learn to feel a physical sense of discomfort when you find yourself performing low-value, repetitive tasks. You must begin to view saving money at the expense of time as a direct attack on your potential. Let us talk about the myth of self-sufficiency. We have been conditioned to believe that the self-sufficient hero is the ultimate ideal. We hear stories of the self-made entrepreneur who did everything themselves, from building the website to sweeping the floors. But this is a romanticized lie. No great empire was ever built by a single set of hands. The people who tell these stories are romanticizing their struggles because they do not understand the mechanics of their own accidental success. True scale requires leverage. Leverage means using other people's time, other people's talents, and other people's systems to multiply your output. If you refuse to outsource because you believe no one can do it as well as you are letting your ego destroy your future. You are choosing to remain small so that you can feel important. The moment you hire your first assistant, buy your first automated tool, or delegate your first major responsibility, your psychology undergoes a massive rewiring. You stop viewing yourself as a laborer and start viewing yourself as a coordinator of resources. You stop selling your hours and start designing structures that produce value independently of your physical presence. Consider the existential math of a human life. The average human has roughly 4,000 weeks on this earth. It is a terrifyingly small number. Every hour you spend performing a task that could be easily automated or delegated is an hour you have permanently deleted from your life. You can always make another $1,000. You can never buy back another hour. When you spend your weekend scrubbing your kitchen floor, washing your car, or mowing your lawn to avoid spending $100 on a professional service, you are making a catastrophic trade. You are trading your highly limited life minutes for a small amount of fiat currency. You are telling the universe that your physical presence on this planet is worth minimum wage. If you truly valued your life, you would treat your time as an elite asset. You would guard it with the same intensity that a bank guards its vault. You would realize that the most expensive thing you can ever own is a mind that is too busy to think. Frugality is often nothing more than a socially acceptable form of cowardice. It is The fear of investing in yourself. It is the belief that you do not have the capability to generate enough wealth to cover the cost of your own liberation. Let us dissect the psychology of the quiet space. The most successful investors, entrepreneurs, and thinkers in the world do not look busy. If you look at their schedules, you will often find massive blocks of completely empty time. They do not have back-to-back meetings. They do not have endless checklists of administrative tasks. They have outsourced the logistics of their lives completely. They do this because they know that asymmetric returns, the kind of wins that change your family's destiny forever, are never found in linear labor. They are found in the quiet space. One single hour of deep, undistracted, high-level thought can yield an insight that generates millions of dollars. It can reveal a flaw in a business model, identify an emerging market trend, or spark a relationship that changes everything. But you cannot access this quiet space if your brain is cluttered with the logistics of survival. If you are mentally cataloging your chores, worrying about the cost of your dry cleaning, or planning the most fuel-efficient route for your errands, you have locked yourself out of the boardroom of your own mind. You have traded the possibility of a 1,000-fold return for the safety of a $3 saving. To break free from this trap, you must perform a radical existential audit. Look at your last 7 days. Write down every single activity you performed. Now, assign a market rate to each of those tasks. How much would it cost to hire someone else to do them? Cleaning, driving, scheduling, researching products, sorting emails. Most of these are $10 to $20 an hour tasks. If you spent 20 hours last week on these activities, you spent your precious, non-renewable life performing low-value labor. You must calculate your current personal valuation. If your goals require you to be worth $500 an hour, and you must treat your current time as if it is already worth $500 an hour. If a task does not meet that threshold, and it is not a source of deep personal joy, you must automate it, delegate it, or eliminate it. There is no middle ground. Every time you say yes to a low-value chore, you are saying no to your future self. You are choosing to delay your freedom because you are comfortable with the familiar friction of struggle. You must learn to value your headspace above your bank balance. Money is a renewable resource. Your focus is not. Let us talk about the concept of mental volts. Imagine you start each day with exactly 100 volts of cognitive energy. A high-value creative task like writing a book, designing a system, or negotiating a deal requires 80 volts of continuous, pure energy. But before you can get to that task, you spend 10 volts choosing an outfit, 15 volts arguing over a bill, 5 volts finding a parking spot, and 20 volts comparing flight prices. By the time you sit down to do the work that actually has the power to change your life, you only have 50 volts left. You try to force it, but you cannot find the flow state. Your thinking is shallow, your patience is thin, and your execution is mediocre. You look at your lack of progress and assume you lack talent or willpower, but you don't lack talent. You simply wasted your mental voltage on things that do not matter. The elite protect their cognitive voltage at all costs. They wear the same uniform every day, eat the same meals, automate their bill payments, and hire people to handle every logistical detail of their existence. They do not do this because they are snobs. They do this because they know that a single volt wasted on a trivial decision is a volt stolen from their masterpiece. Let us challenge the deeply ingrained cultural narratives around hard work. We have been raised on the theology of sweat. We are taught that the harder you work, the more respectable you are. We look at the person who is constantly exhausted, stressed, and working 80 hours a week as a hero. But in the modern knowledge economy, this is a dangerous delusion. Linear effort no longer correlates with high-value output. We live in an era of extreme leverage. A software engineer can write a line of code that serves millions of people. An investor can make a single phone call that reallocates billions of dollars. A creator can record a video that educates a generation. None of these achievements are the result of physical sweat. They are the result of high-leverage intellectual clarity. If you are too busy sweating, you cannot think. If you are too busy doing, you cannot design. You must have the courage to stop working hard on the wrong things. You must have the courage to delegate tasks even when you feel guilty doing so. The guilt you feel is not a moral signal. It is just the residual programming of a system designed to keep you working as a cog rather than operating as an architect. Look at the trajectory of the modern middle class. They are caught in a permanent loop of micro-optimization. They spend their lives looking for hacks, tips, and discounts. They believe that if they just save enough on their morning coffee, buy their groceries in bulk, and do their own home repairs, they will eventually achieve financial freedom. But the math simply does not work. You cannot save your way to empire. The scale of the rewards in the modern economy is heavily tilted toward ownership and systems. If you do not own a system that works while you sleep, you will work until you die. And you cannot build a system if you are spending all your waking hours performing the manual labor of your life. The cost of your frugality is the loss of your scale. You are trading the potential of exponential growth for the safety of linear preservation. You are playing a game where the best-case scenario is that you do not lose. The elite play a game where the only acceptable outcome is that they win at the highest possible level. They are willing to pay any price to secure the cognitive leverage required to make that happen. Let us examine the fear of spending money. For many who grew up in financial scarcity, spending money feels like a physical threat. When they see their bank account balance drop, their nervous system goes into fight-or-flight mode. This is a trauma response. It causes them to cling to every dollar with a desperate grip. But money is like water. If you dam it up and try to keep it perfectly still, it becomes stagnant and toxic. It loses its utility. Money is meant to flow. It is a medium of exchange. It is a tool designed to be converted into resources, energy, and time. When you refuse to invest your money into tools that save you time, you are acting out of fear. You are operating from a mindset of deep lack. You are telling yourself that the money you have right now is the most money you will ever have, and that you do not have the ability to generate more. The wealthy operate from a mindset of absolute abundance. They do not view spending money as a loss. They view it as a seed. They gladly plant their capital into tools, services, and talent, knowing that it will return to them multiplied tenfold in the form of clear time and strategic opportunity. We must talk about the power of cognitive liberation. Imagine the mental state of someone who wakes up and has absolutely no logistical decisions to make. Their schedule is clear, their environment is organized, their meals are prepared, and their administrative tasks are handled by capable systems and professionals. Their entire brain is a blank canvas. They can focus 100% of their creative energy on a single massive problem. They can dive deep into research, think through complex strategies, and make decisions with absolute precision. This is cognitive liberation. This is the state of mind that produces breakthroughs. This is how legendary companies are founded, how revolutionary technologies are developed, and how immense fortunes are built. Now compare this to the mental state of the average person, whose mind is a chaotic storm of minor worries, reminders, and chores. The contrast is devastating. The average person is not less intelligent. They are simply operating with a severely compromised processor. They are trying to run a heavy application on an overloaded system. If you want to achieve extraordinary results, you must first free up your processing power. You must clear the background apps of your mind. Let us look at the concept of asymmetric leverage. In physical space, a lever allows a small amount of force to lift a massive weight. In the economic world, leverage functions the same way. There are 4 primary forms of leverage: labor, capital, code, and content. Labor and capital are permission-based forms of leverage. You need someone's permission to hire them, and you need someone's permission to use their money. Code and content are permissionless. You can write code or create content that works for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without anyone's approval. But to leverage any of these forces, you must first have the cognitive space to understand them and build them. If you are busy doing $20 an hour tasks, you will never have the time to write the code, create the content, or organize the capital that could set you free. You are trading your leverage for immediate, low-value certainty. You are choosing to be the engine rather than the pilot. The pilot does not do the physical work of moving the plane. They make the critical adjustments that ensure the plane reaches its destination. The engine works incredibly hard, burns massive amounts of fuel, but has absolutely no say in where it is going. You must decide today whether you want to be the engine or the pilot of your life. This brings us to the ultimate cost of the opportunity cost mistake, the life you are supposed to live. When you look back on your existence from the vantage point of old age, you will not remember the $50 you saved by cleaning your own gutters. You will not remember the 20 hours you spent looking for a cheap flight. You will remember the ideas you never executed, the businesses you never started, and the relationships you never nurtured because you were too tired, too busy, and too stressed. You will realize that your obsession with saving pennies was actually a sophisticated distraction technique. It was a way to avoid the terrifying responsibility of your own potential. It is easy to be busy. It is hard to be impactful. It is easy to spend your day doing chores and feel like you did something. It is hard to sit in the quiet space, face your own limitations, and make the big, risky decisions required to build a legacy. Frugality is a comfortable shield. It allows you to say, I would have built an empire, but I had to take care of all these household responsibilities first. It is time to drop the shield. It is time to accept the discomfort of freedom. If you are ready to stop paying the invisible tax, you must begin immediately. Start small, but start decisively. Find one recurring low-value task in your life that drains your energy and outsource it. Pay the premium. Feel the initial pang of anxiety as you watch the money leave your account, and then watch what happens to your mind. Feel the relief. Experience the quiet space that opens up in your schedule. Take that newly liberated energy and invest it directly into a high-leverage project. Write that proposal. Contact that high-value client. Design that automation system. Prove to yourself that your time is worth more than the cost of your liberation. Once you experience this shift, you will never go back. You will begin to see everything through the lens of leverage. You will realize that the world is divided into those who sell their time to buy money and those who spend their money to buy back their time. The path to the elite is not a path of deprivation. It is a path of extreme resource optimization. It is the realization that your mind is the ultimate engine of value and that its protection is your highest duty. Welcome to a higher frequency of existence. Welcome to the architect's exit. Welcome to the Ark.